There is a question, so small it is often forgotten, and yet it stays with us quietly for a very long time. What does it mean to become real? So tonight, let us begin gently, with a story that moves slowly, without hurry, without noise. This is Boring Classics, and tonight we open The Velveteen Rabbit, a story about something very soft and something very true. Once, in a quiet house, there was a nursery. It was not a large room, but it was filled with small things, soft things, well-loved things, things that had been held many times before. And on one particular morning, when the light was still gentle and new, something else arrived. It had been wrapped carefully, folded in paper, tied with ribbon, and placed quietly among the others. It was a rabbit, made of velveteen, soft to the touch, with bright glass eyes that caught the light, and long ears that rested gently at its sides. It had never been held before, never been chosen, never been part of any game or story. And yet, it did not feel afraid. It simply lay there, very still, very quiet, as though it understood that something would happen in time. At first, the nursery was full of excitement. There were new toys everywhere, bright ones, noisy ones, ones that moved when wound, and ones that made music when pressed. They were lifted quickly, turned over in small hands, admired, chosen again and again. The rabbit watched all of this. It watched how attention moved, how it settled on one toy, and then another, and then moved away again. The rabbit did not move. It did not make a sound. It did not sparkle. And so, slowly, without anyone quite noticing, it was set aside, not pushed away, not forgotten entirely, but simply not chosen. There was, however, one toy that did not shine. It did not make a sound, and it did not try to become something else. It was the skin horse, old, worn, and very quiet. Its fur had faded long ago. Its seams were loose in places, and its shape was no longer quite what it had once been. But it had been loved, not just once, but over and over again, for such a long time, that it had stopped pretending altogether. It did not mind being overlooked. It did not mind being still, because it understood something the newer toys did not yet know. One day, after a long quiet afternoon, the rabbit found itself thinking. The nursery was still. The brighter toys had been taken away. The laughter had faded into other rooms, and only the softer things remained. The rabbit had been watching for some time, watching how certain toys were chosen, how they were held and carried and spoken to, and how others were simply left where they were. It did not feel unhappy. Not exactly, but there was something it did not understand, something quiet and persistent. So at last it turned to the skin horse, not quickly, not with urgency, but gently, as though the question had been forming for a very long time. What is real? It was not a question about shape, or about color, or about how things were made. It was something deeper than that, something the rabbit could feel, but could not name. And the skin horse listened. For a moment, it said nothing at all, as though the answer deserved time. The skin horse remained quiet for a little while, not because it did not know the answer, but because the question was not a simple one. It had heard it before, long ago, and it remembered how it had once wondered the same thing. At last, it spoke. "Real isn't how you are made," it said gently. "It's something that happens to you." The rabbit listened very carefully. It did not move. It did not even blink. "When a child loves you," the skin horse continued, "for a long, long time, not just to play with, but really loves you, then you become real." The rabbit thought about this for a long time. Something that happens to you, not something you choose. not something you can hurry. It felt both simple and difficult at the same time. Does it happen all at once? The rabbit asked. Or little by little? The skin horse gave a soft, almost tired smile. It doesn't happen all at once, it said. You become. It takes a long time. A long time. Does it hurt? The rabbit asked softly. Yes, said the skin horse. Sometimes, when you are real, it continued, you don't mind being hurt. The room was very quiet now. The kind of quiet that settles slowly and stays. After that conversation, the rabbit began to see things differently. It watched more carefully. Not just what happened, but how it happened. It noticed the way the child held certain toys close, the way they were carried from room to room, the way they were spoken to, as though they could understand. And for the first time, the rabbit wondered something new. Not just what real was, but whether it might happen to it. The thought came slowly, like light moving across a floor. Soft, uncertain, but warm. It did not know how long it would take, or if it would happen at all. But still, it waited. Days passed in the nursery. Slowly, softly, the brighter toys were still chosen first. The ones that moved. The ones that made noise. The ones that seemed, at first glance, more alive. The rabbit remained where it was. Sometimes on the bed. Sometimes on the floor. Sometimes half, hidden among the others. But now it understood something it had not before. That being real was not quick and not certain. And so the waiting continued. Quietly, almost invisibly. And then, one evening, something changed. Not in a large way. Not in a way anyone else might notice. But for the rabbit, it was everything. The child reached out. Not for the brightest toy. Not for the noisiest one. But for something softer. Something quiet. And for the first time, the rabbit was lifted. Held gently. Close. Very close. It did not understand why. It did not ask. It only felt the beginning of something. Something warm. Something quiet. Something that, perhaps, would grow. After that evening, the rabbit was not left behind. Not entirely. At first, it was only once in a while. A quiet choice at the end of the day. A small reaching hand in the soft light of evening. But then, it happened again. And again. Until, without anyone quite noticing when it began, it became a habit. The rabbit was taken to bed. Held through the night. Carried in quiet moments. Pressed gently against a small, warm cheek. It was no longer just something in the room. It was something chosen. Again and again. And though nothing about it had changed, everything felt different. As time passed, the rabbit began to change. Not all at once. Not in a way that could be easily seen at first. But slowly, quietly. Its fur was no longer as smooth. The soft velveteen began to wear thin in places. Its ears, once neat and still, became creased from being held. Its shape softened. Its edges blurred. And sometimes it was dropped. Or forgotten for a moment. Or pulled along the floor without care. But none of this felt like loss. Not really. Because each mark, each worn place, came from being loved. The rabbit did not notice when it happened. Not exactly. There was no moment. No sudden change. No clear beginning. It simply continued. Day after day. Being held. Being carried. Being part of small, ordinary moments. And slowly, without realizing it, it was becoming something else. Not newer. Not brighter. But more. Something that could not be seen at a glance. Something that could only be felt. Something that, perhaps, was real. By now, the rabbit was no longer perfect. Its fur had lost its shine. Its seams were not as neat. Its shape was uneven in places. If you had placed it beside a new toy, you would have seen the difference immediately. But the rabbit did not mind. Not at all, because it no longer compared itself. It no longer wondered what it lacked. It only knew how it felt when it was held. And that was enough. More than enough. The child loved the rabbit. Not because it was new. Not because it was perfect. But because it was theirs. It was taken everywhere. Held in moments of joy. Held in moments of quiet. And sometimes held in moments of sadness. It became part of everything. Not just play, but comfort. And closeness. And something deeper than either of those. And though the rabbit did not fully understand it, it had already become exactly what it once wondered about. Then, one day, the child became ill. It did not happen suddenly. At first, it was only a quiet tiredness. A slower step. A softer voice. The nursery grew still again. But this time it was a different kind of quiet. The brighter toys were no longer played with. The laughter faded. The light seemed dimmer somehow. And through all of it, the rabbit stayed close. Held more tightly now. Not for play, but for comfort. It did not understand what was happening, but it could feel that something was changing. During those days, the rabbit was never far away. It was held through long hours, through restless sleep, through moments when the child did not speak at all. It listened to quiet breathing, felt small hands holding on tightly, sometimes very tightly, as though letting go might be too much. The rabbit did not move. It did not need to. It was simply there, always there. And though it still did not understand everything, it understood this, that it was needed. After some time, the child began to recover. Very slowly. The room grew brighter again. Voices returned. The air felt lighter. And one morning, the child sat up, held the rabbit close, and smiled. It was not a big moment, not something that others would speak about. But for the rabbit, it was everything. Because the warmth had returned. The closeness remained. And for a little while longer, everything felt whole again. But then, there was a quiet conversation. Not meant for the rabbit. Not meant for the child. Spoken in low voices. Careful voices. The kind that carry difficult decisions. The rabbit did not understand the words. But it felt the change. The way the room shifted. The way hands hesitated. And though everything looked the same, something had already begun to end. That night, when the child was asleep, the rabbit was taken away. Not roughly, not unkindly, but quietly, carefully, as though it mattered. And it did. The rabbit did not struggle. It did not know how to. It only felt the absence, the space where warmth had been, the silence where breathing had once been close. And for the first time, it was alone. The rabbit was taken outside, not to the nursery, not to the bed, but to the garden. It was early morning. The air was cool. The ground still held the quiet of the night. There were flowers nearby, soft colors, still and open to the light. The rabbit was placed gently among them, not thrown, not forgotten in a careless way, but left there, as though it no longer belonged anywhere else. And for a while, nothing happened. The rabbit lay very still. It did not try to move. It did not know where it would go, or what would happen next. And for the first time, it felt something new. A single tear formed. Slowly, quietly. It was not a large feeling, not overwhelming, but it was real. The tear slipped down, falling softly onto the ground, and where it touched the earth, something began. From that place, a small light appeared. At first, it was faint, almost nothing at all. Then it grew, softly, gently, until it became a figure. Not large, not bright in a sharp way, but warm and kind. The The nursery magic fairy. She looked at the rabbit, as though she had always known it, as though she had been waiting. "You have been loved," she said softly, "for a long time, and now you shall become real." She reached out her hand, not quickly, but with great care, and as she touched the rabbit, something changed. Not in the way the rabbit had imagined, not in the way toys become new, but in a deeper way, a quieter way. The rabbit felt warmth, and movement, and life. For the first time, it was truly real. The rabbit opened its eyes, not glass eyes now, but real ones. It moved, not because it was lifted, but because it could. It stepped forward, lightly, uncertain at first, then again, and again, until it was no longer thinking about it. It ran, across the grass, through the soft morning light, free, completely free. The garden grew quiet again. The light softened. The morning moved forward, as it always does. And yet, something had changed. Not just for the rabbit, but for the meaning of everything that had come before. Because being real was never about becoming new. It was never about being perfect, or untouched, or admired from a distance. It was something quieter than that. Something slower. Something that could only happen through time, through closeness, through being held, again and again, until the edges softened, until the shape changed, until what once seemed important no longer was, and what remained was something deeper, something that could not be replaced. The rabbit had lost its softness, its smoothness, its perfection, but it had gained something else, something that could not be seen at first glance, something that did not fade, even when everything else did. And perhaps that is what it means to be real. And perhaps there is something else we notice, not in the rabbit, but in ourselves, because most things in life do not become real all at once. They change quietly, over time, through moments that seem small at the time. A hand held, a voice remembered, a presence that stayed when it did not have to. And often, we do not notice these changes as they happen. We only see them later, in what remains, in the way something or someone has quietly shaped us. And so, being real may not be something we become. It may be something that happens to us. And now, the story grows quiet. The garden fades. The light softens. And we return to where we began. A candle. A book. Resting quietly on a wooden desk. The pages no longer turning. The story now still, but not gone. Because stories like this do not end. They remain. In quiet thoughts. In small moments. In the way we remember what it means to be loved. So tonight, rest gently. Let the story settle. And when you are ready, we will open another book. Good night.